feeling is the language that speaks to the divine matrix. So this is a part of the 20 keys of conscious creation that Gregg Braden has stated in his book, The Divine Matrix. And I completely live by this book. And I think it's so interesting because when I got on my spiritual path, I had this huge epiphany in a sense. It's almost like sort of the veil was lifted and the answers to all of these questions that I had for the majority of my life really just came to me in this one moment. And everything just became clear. And this is when I started to understand energy. I started to understand the laws of the universe. I started to understand how I related to the universe and also why I kept creating these negative experiences in my life. And when I read these 20 keys to conscious creation that I think you guys should check out by Gregg Braden, it really just solidified everything that I already felt I knew. You know, I think that for anyone who goes on the spiritual path, anyone who goes through an awakening in some way, it's almost like we're all given the truth to life, at least to the Earth School. You know, I think that there's so much more going on. However, we came here and we chose this life, but one of the key aspects of coming to Earth School is that we came here to forget. And so what an awakening is a remembrance. We all have this ability to remember why we're here. You know, so when you watch videos like this and you get those goosebumps, or, you know, you watch something, it doesn't have to be this channel at all. It could be any channel on spirituality, manifestation, whatever it is. Maybe it's a book that you picked up and you feel that you know that there's some truth there, right? You can just tell. And it's not something that your mind is trying to conceptually understand. It's that your soul can feel it. And so when I read this book by Gregg Braden, it was so perfect, right? It really was so perfect because it just embodied and discussed everything that I believe is so vital for us on our spiritual path. Let's talk about this. Feeling is the language that speaks to the divine matrix. You know, what matters more than what we're saying and what matters more than the action that we're taking is the feeling that we have. It's our vibration. And this is why I believe that spirituality and manifestation are so linked to our healing. Because if we came to Earth School, which many of us did, and we chose very difficult lives, often we have a lot of trauma. And when we have a lot of unresolved trauma, we are almost subconsciously stuck in a low vibration. And so we go out in the world and we take action, we do our best, we try our hardest, and often we yield very little to no results. Because our feeling is what's creating. Our feeling is what links us to the divine matrix. So if I have unresolved trauma and I'm residing primarily in the vibration of shame, and I go and take action in the physical world, all I can reproduce is more experiences that bring up shame. And this is why it's so important that we do this internal work and we become hyper aware of what is going on inside of us on an emotional level. And I find one of the fastest ways, because a lot of us, we kind of lie to ourselves about how we're feeling. You know, have you ever met someone and they're trying to act like they're so happy and they're trying to tell you they're so happy, but you can just feel that they're not, right? There's a lack of congruency there. Many of us do this ourselves, where we try to convince ourselves that we're feeling much better than we actually are. And I think one of the greatest ways to know what we're actually feeling is to look around at our experiences. You know, so what are these experiences bringing up in us? What are we seeing? Are we seeing a lot of happy people? Are we seeing a lot of sad people? Are we constantly running into people who are talking about how bad life is? Or are we running into people who are filled with opportunity? You know, again, because we live in this divine matrix and it is just drawing to us more and more of what it is that we are emitting, it's just patterns, right? So we can notice the patterns and we can start to see how we are in relation to these patterns. So how can I shift my internal state so that I can draw different experiences in? So the next part of his statement is, feel as though your goal is accomplished and your prayer is already answered. And we know this, right? We understand this. Every spiritual teacher talks about this, but I do think it's a concept that we often forget. Because many of us, when we're trying to manifest something, we are so hyper aware that it's not here yet. We're not really embracing that it's done or that we already have it, because if we did, we wouldn't be asking, where is it? And this is one key thing that we really need to remember when we're manifesting something is, am I in the state of waiting for this thing? Am I still feeling like I need it and that it's lacking and that it's somewhere in the future? Or have I embodied an emotional state that would represent that it is already done? And this is the key. And this is why we have to go inside. We have to do that internal work, and we have to make those shifts emotionally. Because once you embody that emotional state of already having it, you will stop having the question of where is it? When is it coming? How long is it going to take? All of these questions diminish because your state of consciousness overrides it. And this goes hand in hand with the last key to creation that Gregg Braden states. And he says, we must become in our lives the very things that we choose to experience in our world. You know, it's so funny because all around us we have the secrets to the universe. But I think that for many of us, we're just not applying them. And if you can begin to see the patterns in your life and see the emotions that you had in regards to those patterns, because the pattern is always going to follow a similar emotion. So now that you know how the equation goes, you can get ahead of it and start to alter your emotional state. And from there, begin to remember the power that you were given before you came into this earth experience. So I hope that this video today was helpful. If it was, be sure to give me a thumbs up. If you guys want to further advance on your spiritual journeys, I do have a bundle called the Ultimate Spiritual Reboot. So this is all of the courses for 30% off. The information will be down below, but this is primarily for those of you who are really ready to do that spiritual work. If you've been interested in spirituality, if you've been into manifestation, but maybe you haven't been having that movement or that shift that you'd like to see. So the information for that will be down below in the description box, but I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Take care.